Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the session on Bootstrap. How are we all doing?
Hey, Rob.
Adam, hi, Brian, Ollie, Shannon. All right. So just you should be seeing my screen there. No, I'm gonna do an introduction to Bootstrap tonight. We'll get to the point hopefully today where we look at the Unit 14 code in there, the exercise when you look at it. So the Unit 14 has folder exercises and there's that PDF inside it. And the first task on that, if we get to doing the first task this week, what we'll do then, if you look at the plan there, see next week is other frameworks and web security and search engine optimization. But then we have project walkthrough and there's review week and then there's a week off. That's the Monday, which is a bank holiday. And then we have review week, and then you're coming close to your assessment. So what I'm going to do is push this lecture out to about there, I think, or there. I'll choose when we're going along. So what we'll do is we'll finish Bootstrap tonight, as in get started on it to a point where we can use it. And for these weeks then, in the build up to the 2nd of February, we'll go back over a number of these modules, for example, JavaScript programming itself and how to do like looping and all this sort of stuff. The Astro framework, if you remember, back in Unit 7, I think it was, and some of forms and some of this introduction to web app development. So we'll pick away at those again, build our knowledge on them, and then we'll do it again. So you'll see it again and again and again. And slowly we're getting to the point where we're actually building front-end websites using frameworks and Astro. All right. So tonight I just want to get going on Bootstrap so you know what it is and you can function with it. You can get it to work for yourself. Right. So to start with, what we'll do is if you go to, this is the week one up here, getting started discussion forum. So as usual, I have this CodePens discussion and the links discussion. So in those, so if you go down to the very end of CodePens, you should see tonight there's a set of CodePens. And the first one there, if you want to open that up, paste and go. Okay, so it should look like this. I'll make it a bit bigger. And then we have in the link section, if you go down to the very bottom of the link section, getbootstrap.com. Okay, so the first link and the second one then, the introduction. Those two would be handy to have ready. So what we're going to do is go to getbootstrap.com and it looks like this at the top. And if you scroll down to this part where it says include via CDN, that's where we're going to use these here. And for reference then, while you're doing the task, you can have a look at this here, and we'll just point out that and point to there. You can include Bootstrap CSS, and you can include Bootstrap JS alone. And normally the JS is coupled with something called Popper, which allows for popovers and tooltips. But if you scroll down here, you can see the separated links. One is just for JavaScript alone, and the other is for Popper. So if you don't need Popper, you can just include only the JavaScript, this one here. So I'll cover all this, just pointing out where we're going. Right, so the start point is go to that Bootstrap intro 00. Okay. Now, in here, there's just a basic HTML document. So if you want to, we can build this on VS Code. So if you open up VS Code, and I'll go to the demo folder and 14 class, and we'll go new folder, and we'll set play.html. And Control V, which is just an empty boilerplate HTML, or you can do exclamation mark enter if you want. Okay, and I'll just run through what we're doing, and then I'll hand over to you to do it. So the first thing when we're using Bootstrap is we include it as a CSS link tag up here. And you don't need to know anything about it. You just go to Bootstrap, getbootstrap.com. And as I say, it looks like this. Scroll down, and you see that include via CDN. And the top link there, link href equals, you can copy that and go up here and paste it. Okay, and as part of it, there's this integrity, and it's a big long SHA security cipher thing. So just leave that there. It's useful. It kind of identifies the correct version of Bootstrap, a valid version of it. And what we're going to do, I'll show you this, you can do this on your own, is that HTTPS there. If you copy that and you put it into the web browser, you'll see what Bootstrap is. I think I might have shown this briefly in the early lectures. This is it. It's just a file with loads of CSS in it. This is referred to as minimized, so it has .min.css. So any spaces or unnecessary characters have all been removed, and anything they can squeeze into the smallest text size they can, it's there. So there's just rules, right? And there's classes like .gsm-3 or .gxsm-3, all these kinds of things. So luckily we don't need to know it all. We'll just get started with it. And then generally what people do is they look up stuff as they need it. So once you've copied in that link, the task is asking us here to go to the Bootstrap docs for the card component. Right. So if you are on the getbootstrap.com, you'll see this docs link here. And I'll open that separately. And you should see on the left-hand side, getting started and customize. So if you click over here on the left, usually I can, there it is, yeah. You'll see forms and components, right? So components here, you'll see card. And if you just click on that, it brings up cards. And we've seen these briefly, if you remember the DC Comics example, we were using cards, but we had hand-developed CSS to present it, whereas this is using a Bootstrap CSS. Now, again, I'm aware you might be going, what the hell is Bootstrap? We'll see it once you do the first example. I'll explain it, and then you'll understand it better, hopefully. So this code here is a card, and you can just copy it, right? This is how Bootstrap works. You go to the thing you want, you find an example that's suitable, you copy the code, and you pop it into the body or wherever you want it in your file. Paste, right? And if you remember, Shift and Alt and F will reformat, pretty print the HTML so it looks nicer. The tabbing is correct and all that. And in here you'll see now image source equals ... And Alt is left ... So there's no image on this thing here. But because I have this link up here, these classes, it has class card, and then it has class card image top, and then it has a div with card body and a H5 with card title and a P with card text. And then there's a button included here, button primary, that BTN and BTN primary. These are all classes that are part of that Bootstrap CSS, the big long text file I showed you there. There's classes, CSS classes defined, or rules, I should say, inside in Bootstrap, and it formats this code for us. So we don't have to do anything, just copy and paste code. And if I show the preview on this, okay, I don't have an image, but it's already giving me a card, look, and it's got a nice blue button, and it's got a card title and some text. Okay, so if we add an image into this, what we can do is, if we go to the demos for today, so in the Unit 14 code, there's, I might have that on the Bootstrap intro actually. So sorry, what it says is add the necessary CDN link. I did that. Add an image of your choosing. Wrap the card in a container. We'll get to that. Okay, so an image of our choosing. You can get an image here. If you go to Unit 14 code demos, the carousel slider, and go to say index, there's some links here to images. So I'll just grab one of these web images here. Control C. And then I'll put it into my player. So where it says source here, I'll put that there. And what is it? Let's have a look. Control save, preview. It's a flower, right? So I'm going to say flower. So my alt text, let's change the alt text then to say flower. Okay, so then if you copy the path for that and open it up in the browser, you can play with it further in the browser by inspect it, paste and go. There you go. So it's a nice card. You zoom in, you can see how it works there, and then inspect. So you can see that's the code we were playing with. And the main part of this, what makes it work, is this link here. So if I double click on this here, or I right click and say edit as HTML, what's that called? Right click, edit as HTML. And if I take that out, for example, see, it looks completely different. I don't have a card now, I have an image and a H5 and some text and a link. But if I reload it, I'll get this nicely formatted button and so forth. Okay, so the code pen is asking you then wrap the card in a container and center it on the screen. and then change or add a button using the Bootstrap button component. So you can go to the buttons link here. Now that's just on the Bootstrap docs, this one. You'll see there's buttons there. And if you go into buttons, there's different button variants if you scroll on here. So these are all classes we can use. BTN will give us a general button class, and there's different classes like primary, secondary, success, and they have different shades of color on them. And you can just make a button look like that by including this class here. So what it's asking you to do is do something like that, copy that code and pop that into your card here. Where is it? This one. I get a href button primary. We can do here a button. Let's save that and let's have a look when we reload the page. So now look, I have two buttons. I see the way it's all formatting nicely. The other thing with Bootstrap is that it's all responsive, right? So if you change the screen size, I notice only one card now. Usually it has code that allows the components to resize for different screens. Now there are classes we can add to make them resize, but generally it'll be all very responsive. So it's based on the Flex container that we studied before. So everything will flex according to whatever screen you're looking at. Now that is a bit of a let's start by just playing with it. But I think if you try this first of all, so just go to the cards example, and from the main Bootstrap, get bootstrap.com, just you get the link for the CEN, add that in, and then the cards, then just copy the code, paste it into the body, and then grab a link. I'll give you that link there on the chat. Okay, and I'm just going to hand over to you now and see if you can do that, right? Now we'll put you into a breakout group. Feel free to ask each other, and I'll jump in a few minutes. Is that okay? Think it's doable? Yeah. And if you get stuck, just ask. It's just a case of one of us helping whoever's stuck. Okay. Right. So breakout group for say 10 minutes. Wait. Sorry, I was muted there. Welcome back. So the second part of that task there, I think you can all see my VS Code. All right. Yeah. Okay, so to put a container around it, so just do a div, press tab, and take the second half of the div there, closing tag, and we'll move it down to the bottom there. And we'll tab that in to the left. Maybe tab the whole thing over. One space. So by adding classes to this, I can make this centered. So if I do something like class equals like this, there's different options for what things I might do, but the main thing is usually to create a container. So Bootstrap has this class called container, and you'll use that a lot, almost always when you're creating components. They'll be inside a container. You can see it puts some padding on the left-hand side here, or margin, I'm not certain. Then what we can do is if we want to center this, see it's on the left-hand side. If we want to center it, we can make it into a flex container by saying deflex, deflex. And then you can do justify content center, and that'll push it into the center there. So you can do a lot more than that, but that's just a sample to get started. Now the task I think was asking us something like that, how to center it. Bootstrap. There we go. Wrap the card in a container and center it on screen. There you go. And then change or add a button. I had shown that part. Okay, so we just used Bootstrap, and that's pretty much what you do. If I asked you what is Bootstrap after doing that demo, has anybody got an idea yet? Or how would you explain it? What's your impression?
Kind of symbolizes the CSS. Like does a lot of like the awkward work for you.
Yeah,
Shorthand for stuff.
yeah. So it's predefined CSS rules, and you use them by linking to Bootstrap and then putting in class names on your HTML components, and then it formats it for you, so you don't have to write the CSS. If you can remember the DC Comics example, we created a card and we, put padding around this part and put in, and it's quite a bit of work, even though it's not that difficult. It takes a bit of time to get it right. Whereas this is all kind of professionally styled and the colors are nice and they're built-in accessibility and all this sort of stuff. So it's out of the box. It just works really nicely. No, that said, the link section there, links, if you go to W3 Text CSS framework, you don't have to go to this, but you really can if you want to. I guess no. Okay, let's close that. Okay, so here, these are just one website's statistics on how CSS frameworks are used. Now, the main thing to point out here is look, in applications, 79% of applications are using none of these frameworks. So that's something to note. 20% of applications are using these different UI, CSS frameworks or JavaScript frameworks, but 80% aren't. Now, that doesn't mean to say it's not useful. It is used in the case of front-end frameworks, like 75% of them are Bootstrap. And you might have heard of Tailwind, which is growing, I think, in popularity. It's very useful, and Foundation as well, very popular ones. But there's many there, right? Once you can use one of them, it'll be manageable that you could learn another one. They're not that difficult to learn. It's just getting used to how they operate. So 2 points there is just note that often building web apps, you won't bother using a Bootstrap. Um, but probably when you're developing ideas, you'll use it and then you might start going, "Do you know what, I know what I want now, so I'm going to write it myself." Maybe, it depends what you're doing. Mostly you're going to use Bootstrap or something like it if the time to developing is short and you need something that's responsive and tested and works and you don't have a lot of time to develop it. That kind of fits the use case. Okay, there's another link there that you can look up to see commentary on the different, where's that gone? There. On different CSS frameworks. Right. Right, so we'll jump into the second one now. So what we're going to do now is start using Bootstrap components. Again, on that components section here. Again, this is from the very start, click on Docs. And from the Docs section, scroll down on the left and go down to components. And now we're going to have a look at using, what I say, a nav bar. So look into navbar there. Okay. Now, there are nice explanations on this. We mightn't have time to go through them all tonight, but when you're looking through it, do take a look at the explanations. This example is just using the first navbar displayed here. So the second code then is the task for this one. Yes, there we go. And that is asking us to do this. Visit the navbar component and copy and paste the first example into the body and preview and make the viewport narrow. So I'll demo it here. So as you're doing it, you can do it alongside me or otherwise. So I'm going to take out that card that we created. Go back to the Bootstrap docs navbar and I'll copy that first example. So here it is. And I'll put that in the body this time. Paste. Okay, save. And then I already have a preview on this, but if you didn't, you could just right click and show preview and make the window small. Now you see the navbar we're looking at here looks different than the Bootstrap website. Bootstrap website shows us a set of links here. One of them is a drop down, one is disabled as a search box. So the reason we're getting this what I call the hamburger symbol is that in a short screen size, as a narrow screen size, it folds up the menu option into this hamburger. Okay, so if you go large enough, you'll see just like it was on but the drop down isn't working, and the search button doesn't do anything, and the hamburger wasn't working. So some of the functionality is not working. Now the reason for that is some of the Bootstrap components use JavaScript, and at the moment I have put a link up on the top here. But if you look at it, it's a link to Bootstrap CSS. And there's another link to Bootstrap JavaScript. Now, as we saw earlier there, on the main Bootstrap, get bootstrap.com, you click on the B, and you scroll down, there's include CDN, and there's a link for CSS, but there's a script for the JavaScript. Now, this is a bundle by default, right? So you'll see when you scroll over, it's a bundle min.js, and it includes JavaScript and secondary JavaScript for tooltips and pop-ups and things like that. So if we copy that and we put that where we normally put JavaScript, script tags is at the bottom, just before the last closing body. And we'll go save. Once you've saved it, when you click on this now, this is going to work, and the drop down will work. And that's because it's reloaded and run the JavaScript that we've just included. And the JavaScript is how it achieves the drop down and the hamburger menu collapsing and expanding. All right, so that's pretty much that task, I think, is what it's asking you to do, is include that. There we go. So click the hamburger and you should observe it doesn't do anything, and then copy and paste the JS. Now you can do two versions, get the CDN or get the JS with no popper. So I'd recommend doing that if you go to the get started introduction there. So that was the second link, get started introduction. What is that now again? I will get it here, sure. It's in the, sorry, it's in there. Get started introduction on the docs. Um, there it is, get started introduction. And if you scroll down to that point two I mentioned earlier, it says the separated links here. So try just the copy that, and we can use one of them only. So then instead of using the script with the bundle.min.js, we can paste in the two versions. And you see the first one is popper, and the second one is bootstrap.min.js. So if we comment out the popper, and we go save, okay, and reload, we should still have this working. This is still working, is it? Oh, it's not. Why not? So you can see then popper seems to have the use for drop downs for popovers because the menu is a popover, right? And if I uncomment that and I save it, now let's try. I don't need to save it actually with the preview. It works. So by doing that experiment, you can see what popper does and what the JavaScript does. Okay, and if you comment out the other one, you can make it wide, get rid of the hamburger, and see if the drop down works. Doesn't it? And then go back to the bundle if you like. So just play with those and see that there's two of them. Sometimes it affects the drop down, sometimes it affects the JavaScript. Okay, happy with that. So let's take 7 minutes or so. Try that on your own. Go to breakout or happy where we are? I'll do breakout with like two to a room just so you might say hello to each other. Um, God, I would say 7 minutes roughly. Okay, so about 7 minutes back. Okay, welcome back. Just waiting on one. Okay, that went okay. I think mostly we got it done. I'll go through the icon part now. So the second part of that task I hadn't looked at is just this part where it says find the disabled menu item and remove the class disabled, and then visit the Bootstrap icons and get a globe symbol and insert it to the left of the nav bar. And there's two ways to do that. I'll show you that. Right? Okay, so welcome back. We're going to have a look now at this disabled thing. So here, if you look at the code that we copied and pasted, there's a list item, list item, and there's one here which is a nav item, and it's got disabled on it. Now, if you make this bigger, when you put disabled class on it, you can't click on it. It kind of makes it grayed out. It just shows that it's not interactive. So if there's like you're already logged in and this is to log in, it might just show that as disabled as you're already logged in. So if you want to disable the disabled, you can just delete that. But it also has ARIA disabled equals true, so you should also take that away because that will indicate to screen readers that it is disabled. And if you've taken away the class disabled, it's actually active then. So this is a link then. Well, it could be a link, right? But see, when I take away disabled, it's active again. So it should take away the R disabled. Okay, that's it. And I'll save that one. And the next one says go to the Bootstrap icons. So from the Bootstrap main site again, if you see here, it is icons. So docs examples icons from the top. Open a new tab. Okay, and then if you scroll down, you can see there's a whole library of icons. Now, the great thing about these is they are, as far as I know, all SVG, scalable vector graphics, and they're all free, and you can use them, I'm pretty sure, without any need for paying or referring much to it. So I'm going to go for a globe here, just to show one. And if you click on one, it's the same with them all, they just look different. And there's an icon. So I can download that, and I have already done that while you guys were in the breakout room. And when you download it, it comes in as an SVG file. So you can see it's a tiny thing there, but I can zoom in and see. That's it. That's one way. And the other way is we can copy the HTML here. Now you can also do it as an icon class here, but I'm going to use the SVG just to get used to that. We haven't used that before. So if you copy the SVG code, it is just an SVG tag. Don't worry about how big it is or all the path D equals. You can just put that down to the left of the navbar part. So navbar is the text here, and that's there. So if I put it on the right of that, and I paste it in, the globe appears on the right-hand side. And if I put it on the left of that, so Control Z, or before it, the globe appears on the left-hand side. All right, and here, if we want to make it bigger, we could just say, for example, set the height to 30 or something. And that should make it bigger, I think. No, you know what? Maybe the wish is catching it. 30, 30. There we go. So that'll make it bigger width and height. So the SVG scale, right? So they're scalable vector graphics, and you can make them as big as you like or as small as you like. The other way to do this is instead of doing the SVG, we could download the file and just include an image here. So we can say img, what's that? img and source equals. So I put my downloaded globe.svg alongside my play.html. So I can just say dot slash globe.svg and close my image, and it achieves the same thing. So if I wanted to make that bigger, then I can do a height equals 30. There you go. And make it bigger. And then you can see that in the web browser as well if you want. So save it and have a look at the web browser. Document, reload. There you go. So in the full screen, it looks like this. Now do play with this. You'll notice as you're playing with the bootstraps, they're all usually, I say usually because it does depend sometimes. Responsive, meaning for bigger screen sizes and smaller, it changes the layout. So as you can see there, as I scroll, so if I just put on the inspector and I grab the border and I start scrolling, you can see the width here as the first number of pixels. So as I go down to 1,000 pixels here, now at 992, I'd say, see that? 992, 992, it changes and puts the hamburger in. So 992 is typically when you're going from into desktop size to a wider screen. And then it might do something else over here. So that's just grabbing the inspect window. You might prefer to keep the inspect window fixed so you can be inspecting the text, say you want it that way. And then you can put on this tool here if you can remember. So you click on, oh, this one, sorry, this one here. And if you make sure this is set the dimensions responsive, you can drag it in here then. And this indicator here will tell you how big the screen is. So once I go to 992, there you go, it changes. So there's the two ways of testing the responsive. Now there's a series of 5 breakpoints, 567, 768, I think 992, 1200 and 400. And they are the standard breakpoints for Bootstrap. And they typically stand for like a mobile device, a tablet, maybe portrait or landscape, a laptop, say, and then a wider screen, like a broad 24-inch monitor or TV or something like that. And Bootstrap is built around those five or six five breakpoints with six screen sizes. Okay, so that was that one. So we did the globe icon and we put it in as SVG or as downloaded file. Okay, so do you want a few minutes to play with that? Just take a few minutes and have a go at it. Mostly tonight, I'm going to give you some time and I just want you to play around with it and grab a component, stick it in and mess it up. But the major technical point tonight, Bootstrap, one of the reasons people choose it is it has a grid system. So we've already seen the HTML grid layout. The Bootstrap makes it a lot easier. You just put in little classes and you can arrange things in a grid very, very easily. So I go through the how to work that. Just take 2 or 3 minutes there. Any questions, just ask. Sorry, just maybe about 30 seconds and we'll move on to the next. Okay, if you're ready there, I might continue. Any questions on anything going on?
No, this makes sense so far.
Cool. Yeah, well, if there's anything, we'll have more time in the second half. So don't be afraid to ask. This here, so just as you're playing with it, do kind of experiment. And, if you think about this one, like when it's wider, you've got like home, link, drop down, and search and search. Um, so if you're looking, say, at the search buttons, you might want to, what happened if I said discover there and a placeholder, I could say, I think that's just by doing that, then, I've customized it to my own needs, and then the color might be based on some bootstrap color. uh, Button outline success. So if I go to my buttons again, I could say, hold on, button, I don't like the color. I'm going to go to the docs and buttons and scroll down. And let's say we want to make it that light one now. So that's going to be the button light instead. Okay, and then you go in here and you say button light. Save it. And then when we scroll over, oh, I have JavaScript enabled now. See it. See it's that light color now, right? So play around is the best way to learn this. Most advice is just grab something and throw it in, see what happens, test it. Just keep doing it till you get more familiar with it. All right, and if you want to take out, say you don't want to have this link one here, you just go, hold on, I can find where it says link, link, home, drop down, link there is. If I don't want that one, just take out this item. All right, all right, it's gone. All right, so just experiment. Okay, no, that's the second one. Right, so if I close that, the code folder in Unit 14. Okay, when you open up this demos and exercises as each week, and under demos, you should see carousel slider, right? Now in here, there's index.html, and then there's this BS carousel slider. Now, the BS carousel is the same file as index, except it contains the Unit 10 demo commented out at the bottom, right? So that's very similar to the Unit 10 demo. That's it commented out, and this is the Bootstrap version. Okay, so in a way, you could ignore that BS carousel. It just has the Unit 10 in comments at the bottom and just work on the indexes, index.html. So this example here has a carousel. And if I copy that and go to browser, we'll see what it looks like. Might demonstrate nicer in the browser. Okay, if I, right, so here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can scroll down and there's some text down here. And there's these little indicators they call it, the bottom there. They're a bit smaller. So that's that example. So just as a build up to that to see how that works, we go to the next code pen on the list there. So here, this one code pens. This one here, pretty sure should be the next one. That's it there, carousel. Control V. Is that it? Carousel 2, hold on. What happened to carousel 1? Mhm. 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 Yeah, that's carousel one, the first one, and that's carousel two, these two are one and two. So you can get the two of them open if you like. Carousel one and carousel two. So these are just breaking that example down into two parts. Okay, so create a file, bootstrap1.html, and use exclamation mark enter to get boilerplate. And then go to the carousel basic examples in Bootstrap and paste the example code into your Bootstrap file. Okay, so if we started that, should be a case of just going into my demo folder here, my local one, and new file, and I'll call it bs1 one.html. So exclamation mark bang, go into Bootstrap. Some here, what I'm trying to do is show how quick we can do this. Go to carousel and go down to basic examples and copy the code for that and go into my VS Code body in the middle, Control Shift F to reformat it and save it. Now, even by doing that, we already have a carousel there. There's no images, right? Because the images here have source equals dot dot dot. So what it's suggesting then is in your unit 14, index.html, there's the Pixabay images here, 1, 2, and 3. So you can copy those and put them in copy WBS1, we'll put that down here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So here we can put Control V, that's the first one. And this one, Control C, put that there, Control V. And the third one, Control C, Control V. So this is just customizing with your own images. Now you should, if right is right, go into the alt text then and change them to whatever these images are. Don't forget that step because it's a flower, is it? And a garden and a sky or something. So do them properly when you're doing real development. So flower, garden, a meadow, spring meadow. Uh, yeah. So then once you've done that, you got the three images, close index, bring this one back up. That's it, we customize it. So if I close it down and open it in the browser, no, what did that take? One minute, I guess. Yes, so go. I need to save it. Save it. Control K. It's saved. Reload. No. Okay, so the carousel isn't working for some reason. Why is that? 1, 2, 3. Ah, look, what's wrong? Maybe just spot the reason it's not working.
You
I
don't have
look
the
up.
CDN there.
Yep. So I don't have Bootstrap linked in. So I'll grab that from the play. I get the top there. CDN. There you go. And so now reload. And now did the buttons work? Buttons aren't working. Why aren't the buttons working? Any idea?
You need the JavaScript too.
Yeah, hold on. So usually interactive things, movement, that's often done with the JavaScript. Now I'm gonna go back on this and get the single one, the bundle. So if I go to Bootstrap and I go to Bootstrap main page, the bundle is there. And I'll go back to VS Code and put that paste. Save, browser, reload. Hmm, saved, saved. Where's that working? Image. That's the wrong file, this one. It's one, paste, save. So it's this ES1 I'm looking at in the browser. So if I save that and reload it, no, that's working, right? So we can put these inside a container, a bootstrap container, and make them that bit smaller. Um, we can choose breakpoint sizes at different breakpoints and do all kinds of powerful things, but just to get the basics going. I think I've done that one now. So add in the three sources, add in the link, test the carousel, add in the script, test the carousel. Okay, so that seems logical. You kind of hit those problems as you're doing it anyway. And the second one is this here. Copy and paste the solution from the previous to a new file. So if I take the BS1, Control C, Control V, and call this F2, BS2, there I have it. And go to the indicators, right? So I go here. I don't even have to, I can go here, go to docs, and go to components, indicator, HIG. There's indicator. If I can't see it, I'll Control F and say I'm yes. Carousel indicators under carousel. Scroll down to indicators. Indicators there. And then we'll copy that code, right? Now it's the same thing except for this here, I think. So carousel indicator, if you look at this carousel inner, carousel item, active images, previous button, next button. So if you look up here, carousel inner, active images, previous button, next button. See, that's the difference, right? This part here. So I'm just going to copy that part, the top div, and then I'm going to pop that in above my carousel inner here. When I do that, if I save it, go to browser and reload it, I'm expecting to see at the bottom then little indicators, but I don't see it. Why is that? Saved. I'm in BS2, that's why. I need to change the browser to BS2. BS2. And now if I scroll down, there's these indicators, right? If I click on them, they're not working, right? The JavaScript doesn't seem to be working, but this part is working. But I got the indicators in. And of course, we can change the size of these and change the image sizes and all that. It's just to get the basics working. So here, paste it before the carousel inner. We save reload testing and see the bootstrap indicators added. And for interest, we can have a look at captions and crossfade. So I think that's, if you finish that early, just take a look at, say, for example, the next one down, captions, crossfade, or autoplay carousels, anything that you think is interesting. And in the meantime, I'll have a look and see why indicators don't seem to do this. I'm not sure why that is. So if we can fix that in the breakout group, that'd be great. Okay, so I'll try those two. So that is on the code plan section. This is the middle two links, carousel 1 and 2. And if you are finished that, go straight into the carousel in unit 14 there, carousel slider, and have a look at the code in there. And there's JavaScript in there you can take a look at. Okay, we'll say 10 minutes again. And let's change the rooms a bit. Oh, we created the same rooms. Okay, I want to see the same rooms. Let's do that. Okay, see you about 10 minutes. Okay, welcome back. Just wait for a few more. Right, I'll share the screen. Mhm. Right, you should see my VS Code now. And zoom window. Okay, we should be all back now, I think. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back. All right. So just my example here, this is something that could cause an issue. There's two parts here I'm going to show. One we encountered in one of the breakout groups there, and the other one I'll show you it here. So this is my one here, BS2 example, and if I copy the path and I go to the web browser and it is saved, right? And I paste and go. Yeah, my left and right arrows are working. But when I went down to the indicator and I clicked on the indicator, it's not working. So I'm clicking here, I'm clicking, nothing happening. Um, so it's, reload, still nothing happening. What's causing it? Um, Now you'll see it if you're spending enough time looking at it. The buttons that do the controlling previous and next. If you look the data bootstrap target. So these attributes with data dash, you can use those anywhere in HTML data dash, and you can make up what comes after it. And in JavaScript, you can get all the data attributes of a set of elements or an element on its own. So you can kind of element.get data attributes. And Bootstrap uses that. So BS target defines what target this control is supposed to control. And you see here it's the ID carousel example. So if you look up here, that's linking to the overall carousel container here. And if you look here, these buttons, the data BS target is carousel example indicators, and it's an ID, and there is no such element on the page, right? So the ID here is different. It's data carousel example. So here, here, and here, they're not working. So if I just change the third one there, and I just say carousel example, that's correctly IDing to this now. So the third one should work if I save it. Save it and go back in here and reload it. So the third indicator now, I guess, is that does work, but the second one doesn't, and the first one doesn't. See that? So the quick fix for that is just to change, instead of changing, change this to the correct indicators. But if you think about that, I got these three to work now. So my indicators will work, but I'll have to break in my left and right because they rely on that ID as well, right? So now if I reload, the left and right don't work, but the indicators do. Okay, so just be aware of that. So then you probably are better to click Alt, 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 delete, and delete, save. So once the BS target is linking in all the action elements to the correct ID, everything should work then, So now my left arrow works, my right arrow works, and my indicators work nicely. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is when you're in Bootstrap and you're going for whatever it is, we're going for a component like carousel. When you get an example, the class names it uses, for example, carousel space slide or carousel dash item space active, they can be distinct to the version of Bootstrap you're working with. So here, if I'm working on Bootstrap 5.3, the terms that are used might be different to say 4.6. So if you go to components in 4.6 and you go to carousel, I don't know this for certain, but I imagine something is different. Carousel slide, carousel item active. Something might be different. So you have to be a bit careful if you're taking examples from the latest version. What is that? Latest. All versions. 5.3. Latest version. Then you must get the Bootstrap link that matches it. So here are the versions here. this is Bootstrap at 5.3.8. So they have to match up. Otherwise, you could get a problem where it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is that the example code you took is using class names, like carousel item active. The link down here that you have, if it's not the right version, it mightn't be working for those terms. They might match the terms you're using, if that makes sense. All right, so just watch out for that, those two things. Right, so that's my second one done. Okay, one more, then we'll take a break. The final one is a modal or lightbox, and may have seen this if you were doing your own experimenting. Um, and I think section 10 or unit 10 of this module, I think thereabouts. So this one is visit the Bootstrap docs for a modal, pick say the static backdrop, for example, and copy and paste it into an example code and add the necessary link or script tags and run it and see the behavior. So this is just play around with what a modal is. Now, if you can remember, can I remember is a question, where did we see this before? Lightbox, I think it's unit 10. Unit 10 demo, lightbox. So that lightbox example, if you had dived into that, that's something similar. So you go to the lightbox and you preview it. It's a gallery, but when you click on one, it brings up this kind of lightbox imagery there. Let's see it in the browser, we'll see it better. It's the same concept, modal or lightbox. So if I click on that image there, see the way it brings up this window in front of the content at the background? And you can often scroll, and sometimes it blocks you. If you click here, it won't go back. You have to go and click on the X to give you back the main page. Um, so that we're going to go back on this unit 10 probably next session. We'll start, once we've seen it in Bootstrap, we'll go back and kind of unpeel it and see how to do it outside of Bootstrap. Um, so there is then events that we need to work with modals. We'll get to that next week. Right. So what I want to do is to do what that was asking me to do in my play, Bootstrap play. Where's my play file? Play. HTML. Let's close this one. Oh, that's bizarre. Well, close there, close. Um, that's my play. There's a nav. I take out the nav. Okay, so I have the JS bundle at the bottom. I've got the CSS at the top. And now I'm going to go to that Bootstrap it asked me to do, which is docs, and it's a modal and components. And modal. And it was saying, now again, these are good to read when you have time. Um, so this is like a modal here that'll pop up and it has a title and a body and footer with two buttons inside of it. But if we go to the one that was asking for, say, a static backdrop, you can just click on this and it'll show you how it works here. So here, it prevents you from clicking. It tells you you can't until you click the X. So if I copy this one and put that into my play file, paste, and I'll save it. And then I get the path to the browser. That should show me something like that. So the button is there, I launch it, I have my modal, and if I click outside, I see it resizing itself, transforming it, and this text I can put in here, title, buttons I can press. So just see that there's a modal. And the point there is that that's kind of linked to Unit 10. So we're going to come back at Unit 10 and look at that lightbox example. We'll see better than what Bootstrap is doing for us. It's doing quite a lot of work there to give us that modal. Right, and that is 8 o'clock, which is time for a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the main technical content for tonight, which luckily enough is not too difficult. But when we were looking at why people use Bootstrap, one of the reasons they use it for is the grid system that it has. So when you're looking up here in layout, we have breakpoints, containers, grid, and there's more you can do, but we'll just take a look at these three and come back, okay? So we'll see you back at 8:15. Chat. Break 15 minutes. Back. See you. Okay, welcome back. Hope you got a good break there. Now, feedback. How are you finding the pace of tonight? My view is it's about right, but that could be completely wrong.
For me, at least now, this one I'd say is the easiest one to get hold of the last few weeks.
Okay, cool. Um,
But that's just myself.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd agree with Brian there as well.
yeah. I think it's relatively achievable to pick it up. Now, it might take a bit longer for some people, and that's just probably because it's not clicking with you while there's me demonstrating and all these people around you. So don't worry if that's the case. You give it an hour on your own or 2 hours or 3 hours, you'll eventually you'll have it. Now the reason I'm asking is you might see week on week there. I could if I want to just bring up the lecture slides and I could go through all the lecture slides and you can see hundreds and hundreds of things. But I'm taking a different approach where I'm gauging the speed of delivery where I think it's humanly achievable, put it that way. And I'll come back over some of the previous weeks and we'll do a second pass at it and a third pass in the weeks that we have no lectures. So I think that might work out better overall. Um, okay, if that's the case, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the last code blender. That's the last one on the link there, and it should look like this. So this starts off the Bootstrap grid, and there's a few links there. If you go to the first one, example, on the same page, that's how it works. And then there's available breakpoints down there. And we'll come to the other ones when we need them. Now, this one from the people at App Brewery here, that we can use to learn this. It's actually a nice example. It's nice and short, and it's dynamic. You can play with it. So if you bring that one up, that's very handy. So, what this is saying is just go to these sites here and we'll have a look. So the grid system, that's the slash example. Am I right with that? Bootstrap grid example, yeah. And the breakpoints, available breakpoints are here. Okay, so about 10, 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes me yapping on, and then let's give you 10, 15 minutes to play with it, get a handle on it, and then with more time, I think you'll master it relatively easy. So these are the breakpoints I was mentioning in Bootstrap, greater than 576 is think of that like I think of this way, it's like a phone, and then greater than 768 is a bit like a tablet in portrait, and greater than 992 is a bit like a tablet in landscape, and then greater than 1012 or 1200 is like a laptop, and greater than that is like a widescreen 24-inch screen or TV or whatever. So those are the breakpoints that are built into Bootstrap, and they use special symbols like SM for the small, MD and LG for the like. For example, if there were two tablet sizes, XL would be like laptop, and XXL would be like a bigger screen. And we'll refer to that as we go along in this section. Now, the grid system. So generally, what we have is you can lay out your items, and again, this is based on Flex, so you'll see some similarity. There's a container, which is a bit like a Flex container. We just use the keyword container for that. So you can ignore the text center for now. That's just centering the text inside the container. So then you have a class row, and row is like the purple section there. If you think of the outer one as the container, and row is the purple section, and then you have cols, right? So col. That's the three bordered boxes there. And if you put col, it equally spaces them, and it puts a block on the screen. As the screen size reduces, it resizes everything just like a flex box. So if you wanted to take something like that there and copy it and put it into your play example, play.html, body to body. Have I got that right? Where's my closing body tag? Script. I lost that. I need to save. Okay. Copy path and see that in the browser. Paste and go. Is it this one? Play. Oh, no, you know. Okay, so there's three columns there. Now I don't really have any borders on that, so I might just put a border on that with CSS here. I'll put style tag and go if it has a class of col dot col. I'll put a border 2 pixel solid black, and let's put padding top and bottom, say 10 pixels, and left and right 0. Okay, something like that. That gives some view of the borders. There we go. So something like that. And these are just by saying call, right? We get these, and you can see it's resizing. And it has some kind of margin depending on the size of the screen. And it resizes, so it's a flexible, responsive area of your screen. Okay, now this is saying there are the links, and then it says, yeah, go to app array. Okay, so just before we do that, this grid system. If you scroll down here, it'll mention the 6 responsive breakpoints. That's the available breakpoints here. So if you don't put anything, it's deemed less than 576. If you put this SM, it's kind of like from 576 up, and then MD is from 768 up, and LG is from 992 up, and XL up and up, like that. Now, there's lots to read there, but if you go down here, you'll see we have these classes here. So we can say dot call dash auto, which will auto size according to the contents, or we can do this dot call SM, dot call MD, dot call LG, dot call XL, and dot call XXL. What that means is that if it's dot call SM, you're saying the particular column you're dealing with, say this one here, when it's in the small screen size up to 576, so from 576 down, you're going to specify how many twelfths of the screen it takes up. So the bootstrap grid is made up of, it sees the viewport as made up of 12 sections. So twelfths. And you can specify, if you have 3 columns, you could specify this takes up 4, 4, and 4, and that will equally space them. Or say this one, it could be 6 and 6. So this is probably a call 6, call 6, call 4, 4, 4. So you can demonstrate that yourself if we go dot call dash and a number. So here, if I say call dash 4 and call dash, let's do alt here, alt dash 4. That's as it is actually. So we'll do these two as 5, and 5 is 10. That leaves 2 left over. So put 2, right? We'll save. So they always add up to 12. So if I've done that correctly, when I look at this now and I reload it, why have I lost my, yes, the border is gone. But if I say this is all with a starts with call, I do something like starts with, is it uppercase hash equals call. I think that's it, is it? Does anybody remember how to do the starts with? Just do it in ChatGPT to fix it here. You can see fix C this fix well, yeah, just tell me. Oh yeah, class and then curly equals and then call. Okay. So here if I go class, where the class starts with call, that should give me back the borders, and then hopefully I should see the size of it easier. No, why not? Huh. Sorry about that now. Call. Oh, check that. Can anybody see what I'm doing around there? Square brackets class equals. Yeah, I need it all in square brackets. Yeah. That's right, yeah. Save. Reload. Yeah, so here, that's one quick way of doing it. So now you'll see the way I've done this is that the first column which is the first div there, has 2/12. The second one has 5/12 and 5/12. So you can go in here and play with this, and you can just go, look, let's make that 7/12. And then that means we've got 5 left over. Let's make that 2/12. And let's make that 3/12. Yeah, and you can resize them then straight away like that just by call. Now, that's for whatever size your viewport is. They will always have those ratios, right? Now, if you say call dash SM, so call and dash, now if you just do call, right? Call, call, and call, it'll equally distribute the space. So you know, they're equally distributed. Let me zoom in here for correction so we can see this better. But if I go call dash SM dash 2 and call dash SM dash 5 and call dash SM dash 5. Okay, so 2, 5, and 5. What that means is that up to let's do it this way. So resize. Now watch up here, 554, right? So at 576, am I right with that? So the breakpoints, it's 576 is small. Yeah, 576. So less than 576, I specified what it is small and up. So all of these, it should be 2, 5, and 5. But below it, it'll be equally spaced. Right, so look at it here. This one. Let's put that at the end actually, so I keep missing it. So all right, at 580, 580, 576, yeah? Breakpoint. So below 576, it's making them block, it's making 100% of the viewport of it. And above it, it takes the call SM specification, right? Now the next one, 576, 567, 768, if I'm not wrong. 768. 768, right? So if I specify an MD now, right? And I go over here. So what I'll do is I'll reverse it in the mid size. Small, medium. Now you'll notice here I can put multiple classes on an element. And it doesn't matter the order I put it, but generally the advice seems to be to go smaller, bigger, just it's more conceptually close to the mobile first approach. And 2, right? Okay, so what I'm saying here is that if it's from 576 upwards, it'll be 255. Right, so we go back here to 576. Like that, so 576. There, look. See that? It's changing, breakpointing. So that's 255. So there's 12 slots in the viewport, and 2 of them are the left column, 5 and 5 for the other 2. And then I'm saying on the medium from 768, so all the way up as far as 768, if you can read that there, 664, 699, 768. Now look what happens. At the 768 breakpoint, it changes to 552. And then I can go here and I can put medium large, right? So large would be the 992. LG. Let's do 3. LG. And so 3 from 12 is 9, isn't it? So let's go for, what do you think? 3 and 7 is 10, and 3 and 2. Got it. 12, right? So what that means is that from 992, it'll take on 3 for the first one, 7 for the middle one, and 2 for the right one. So watch 992. 992. There you go. 3 and 7 and 2. So I can change the sizes of different breakpoints. No, I'll give you this here. HTML. Oh, A, Control C. I'll just put that on the chat and you can play with it. Uh, Paste, go. And then I'll put you into breakout groups while you're doing this. That is from the last code pen. Sorry, this one. No, this one. The last code pen is this code here is basically just got the container. You can forget about the text center, don't need it. Row, call. So this is what I'm changing here. This one, this one, this one. These three divs for column. Change the text if you want to, and you'll see how it works. So you take what I put in the comments there, and you can see the different version there. So for example, I think I took the container, was it? Container text center, yeah. We'll see. So if you go back to your example, oh, for God's sake, here. Where is it? Sorry. I think I have it here actually. This one. So V, like that. We'll see that then in the reload. So now when I reload it, you can see the divs now are got those bootstrap classes on them. Okay, so I'll put you into breakout, and what I want you to do is go to this. Now, you can do whatever you want, right? Play around, but this is an idea. So the App Brewery bootstrap layout, the green one is what it wants you to replicate. So the green one, as I resize the screen, if you right click and inspect, as I resize the screen, no matter what screen size, it's going to be 50%. Oh no, sorry, 50% for desktop, which would be above 1200. Right, so if we look where we are, 1300. So when I drop down below 1200, I think this was going to happen. It's going to go to 100%. It'll go to block. Here, yeah, see that block. So what you can do is go in here and change the classes here to make the purple ones behave the same. So as you scroll down to different breakpoints, so learned breakpoints 1200, 992, 768, 768, 992 on it. 992, it's doing the same thing. 768, 567, and try and get the purple one to behave the same. Now, if you want to cheat, you can just go into this here, right click and inspect. And then you'll see that's that container there, am I right? See? Is that right? Hover your mouse over it. Container, this one. And then you'll see what's done. It's the column XL6, and you can ignore the child. It's something else. So in the purple one, what you want to do in this div, is it down? Row, yeah. You want to change your classes here so that it has column XL6. See, that's the objective. Okay, so the next one, it doesn't tell you what to do. So this is the top one in orange. And you scroll, see now there's a breakpoint, right? So at the 992, it's changing the first one to take up the full screen, and the other two are 6 and 6. They're half the screen each. And at the 992, what's the next breakpoint down? Go down roughly 200, 792, 768, right? You'll learn them as you get used to it. 768, see what happened there? It preserves the same, so it's still a column at 6 and 6. And at 576, something happened. Look, 576 here. So what's happening is it's making each one, what's that? If there's 12, it's probably around 10, I'd say. So it's a 10, 10, and 10. So then you have to try and change the green one to make that work. So you can go in and edit this and put it in as, call Excel 6 and I should put 4, shouldn't I? 4. So over 1200, it should be 444. Now, if you go apply changes, this button clicks JavaScript and it changes the actual element there. So if I look for this second flex container, I think it's this one, exercise 2, the test parent, is that it? That's it. When I've clicked apply changes here, I clicked on it, it changes the code here and it modifies it so that whatever I've typed here, it goes into the DOM and changes it. Now, it doesn't look differently, but if I go to the 992, see the next one, 1200, 1200. There you go, a 1200 444 now. So that's behaving differently to the orange one. So you have to see if you can get the green one to behave the same as the orange one. And the same for the bottom one here. Try and get the green one to behave differently to the blue one. All right. So it's playing around with these call XL, call SM, call SM, getting used to scrolling to 1200, 967, 768, and 527, whatever it is. And just knowing those breakpoints that are available, right? So do you know what to do? It's just play with it and use that website and try those three tasks. And you can make the changes then to the local file from the code and play with it locally if you want to. That makes sense? Okay, so let's do 15 minutes of that at least. I think 5 minutes per task is not a lot. We'll see how we get on. But learning that grid system is useful. Now do reflect to the Bootstrap docs as well while you're doing that. And you can scroll down and have a look. There's lots of different examples here, but that should give you an idea how they work. Okay, I'm talking too much. Right. Are we happy? Well, we're not depressed anyway, right? Yeah, okay, grand. There's a few people smiling. Right. More breakout rooms. I'll try and recreate these if it lets me. Recreate. Recreate. Okay, with slightly different groups now. All right. Where you go. And I'll jump in 5 or 10 minutes. Hey, welcome back. We're all back, great. Okay, well done. You're flying it. Things look like they're going very well. Just to point out that you can learn more about this again. There's a lot of options here, things you can do. So if you're looking at this here, say for example, you go down to one of these ones, like more complex one. Stacked horizontal, right? Stacked to horizontal. If you open up the inspector, right, the text of those examples, stacked to horizontal, where is that gone? It's up here, is it? Mix and match, let's say. So it's if you resize the window, you'll see what happens. So this is saying in this row, this one is going to be at the medium breakpoint 8 and at the medium breakpoint 4. Otherwise, this is going to be 6 and the other one will scale according to it, right? So you can then go to the medium breakpoint, which is what is it, 567 and 768 is MD. So if you drag to 768, 768 around there, and you bring this up, you can see then before then, yeah, the medium 8 and medium 4 haven't kicked in yet. So what happens is that the first one is unspecified and the second one has a call of 6. So unspecified means it's going to take up a block, and a call of 6 means that it'll take up a half. So this looks like two stacked on top of each other. First one takes up the whole viewport, and the second one is half. But when we go to the MD size, it'll be 8 and 4, both on the same line. 768, there you go. Mix and match. There you go. So 8 and 4. So just by resizing that window, and again, you might be better using that tool and bring this kind of over here and then resize it that way. But then you can see, you can learn a lot that way, is my point. Just by resizing, right? Okay. Now, so that is a brief introduction to the grid system, and you can play with that and practice and get used to it. That leaves me to, we've done all the code pens, and in the links, yes, I want to point this out, the github.com here and the examples. All right, so let's go to the GitHub first of all. So Bootstrap is open source and all the code for Bootstrap is available. You can see it. Now, if you copy and paste the .min.js or .min.css, you can see it in the browser. But if you go to the GitHub repo for it, you can see the code more like regular code. So for example, here, if we go to the distribution, if I'm not wrong, or actually the SCSS is probably the best one to go to, SCSS. You'll see it very similar to the headings and the components. And say you go to card, it's formatted now as you would see it in code. So card component is a bit like this, right? So you can go down and see all the CSS. If you want to look at how they do card body, that's pretty much how they're achieving it, right? And you have spacers and so forth. But you can see all the code is my point. So if you want to customize your own CSS, you can take some of this and you can adapt it and apply it in your own circumstance. And the code is all there. Carousels, you can see how they're achieving carousels like that. Okay, so those classes mean this, and you can dig into it that way. Okay. Now examples. When you go to docs example, I do it here, right? So we've got a docs examples here. If you scroll down, these snippets are very handy, right? So if you're just playing around, you might be looking for things. And if you zoom in a bit, you'll see these better. There's sidebars, modals, drop downs, footers, breadcrumbs, whatever you want. They're all there, right? And pricing, for example. So if you want pricing, you can open up this thing. And if you want a page like that, you can pretty much inspect it, right? And when you inspect it, you have the code. So let's scroll this over, reduce the size of this. Okay, so there's the pricing header. There's the container there, right? So if you get the container and you edit as HTML, Control A, Control C. Now it doesn't work perfectly. Sometimes you have to do a little adaptation. But if I go to my play file now, that's my body, and I put the pricing there, save. Now again, it's gone in all in one line there, which isn't ideal, but I can pretty print that. If I go Control Shift F. There you go. That's fixed it. So that's all the code there, SVGs and all. So if I right click, I'll save that again. Control S. Right click, copy path, and I go to browser. That's fun. Paste them. Look, there you go. So now I have it in my play file. And look, it's all bootstrap and reflex responsive, and it's not quite right in places, right? So sometimes you might need to do some overrides of some of the CSS, but you get a lot of it there just by copying and pasting the code. Um, it wouldn't take a lot of work to adapt that to your own purposes, so you can go in and change that. So that's the examples. You can see them there, what they look like, and you can grab the code. So you go back to bootstrap examples. If there's breadcrumbs, badges, anything you want, just go in and grab the code and throw it into your own project. So be aware of those. And then we're into links exercises. Right, so we looked at the app brewery for playing around, but there's a whole pile of exercises. And this is just one link. If you do a search, I'm sure you'll find more. This is the Geeks for Geeks on Bootstrap. And if you go into, for example, at the top here, they have quizzes. So you can say containers, and if you pick a quiz, it's like create a container with a fixed to it. How do you do it? Class, and you can go show answer. Say class is container. Oh yeah, got it. And then the next one, and it'll go on and give you another question, and you should see the answer. Then if you go back to the start, oh sorry, lost that. Scroll down a bit. At the bottom, they have sections. So if you want to explore layout, there's introduction to it, there's breakouts, containers, and it's 4 minutes to go through it. Or it gives you an indication, so you can scroll down and it gives explanations with code samples. Now, it's very big, but every now and again you could dip into something like that and test your knowledge or try and get a handle on it a bit better. All right, that's that one, which leads us to links. Yeah, the few at the bottom there, just to point out, like Bootstrap can do dark mode, or there's templates you can look at. So if I open a new tab, okay, so there's enable dark mode, and you can put that up in an example, and that just by saying data BS team dark, it'll switch the website to contrasting colors. And you can see there's a template for that there. You can, sorry, I won't finish that. There are templates here on W3 Schools. So whatever you're building for your project, chances are, and it would be advised, don't be getting too customized. Even if you want to create something for yourself, really, really custom, for the project, keep it a bit more simple. How do I go to this? Oh, I think I'll have to. Can I do that in a? Uh, if I open this in incognito tab, that'll get over that thing, will it? That's here, is it? Open incognito window. Paste in gold. There we go. So there's templates, right? I think I have to accept that. Right. So if you're doing a blog, you could have this kind of layout and the spacing portfolio like this, and you just click in there, and the whole code is there. So you can examine then any part that you're interested in, and you can copy and paste the code and make it your own. There's a jumbotron in there, all this kind of stuff. It's all there, and there's all sorts of like web pages, social media pages, general layouts for marketing pages. So use those to your advantage if you can, or just look at them and study like that section or that nav bar, and you'll learn a lot just by looking into that. So those links are there, and that leaves me with themes then, right? So some of these are paid, but your other option, and these are very snazzy, the paid ones would be, but some are free, right? So Start Bootcamp. This is only one website, right? There's several of these again. Why can't I just go? Oh, anyway. Okay, so you can pick one of these themes and away you go. Say, for example, it's a free one, right? So if you go in there, you can see the website, download the code, and use it as an example. So you got this blue nav bar on the side, whatever you want. So the only problem I can see with this is they're so big and it takes so long to examine something that if you don't want it, you might have lost time. But you're probably always going to be learning. And if you do it smart way, kind of when you're free or when you're bored, you can probably use that to your advantage. Okay, I'll just close a few of these here. Let's close and columns. Right. So I think that's for about 2 hours, I guess that's a very good introduction, I think, to Bootstrap. And you seem to be able to use it now, which is a good goal for the time we had. Now, what we'll do now is from the main page, the Unit 14 code section. So in there, Unit 14 code, there are demos there. You can have a look at anything you like there. We'll get to the modal events and forms and stuff like that later. But in the exercises, there is this one. So it says go back to the Unit 5 DC Comics example. So if you go to Unit 5 DC Comics, exercises DC Comics layout. I'm pretty sure it's that one. So Unit 5 demos, exercises DC Comics layout. That's this one. I'm not sure is that the right one, sorry. Is it under? I had this open.
Might be under solutions.
So that's it, under Solutions, DC Comics Flex, that's all. DC Comics Flex, yeah. So under Unit 5, exercises, Solutions, DC Comics Flex. That one, which looks like this. Sorry, why does it do that? DC Comics Flex, DC Comics View Preview. So this has cards in it, yeah. So it's responsive, and there's a breakpoint in it, I think, where it shows 1 or 2 or 4. You can use that as a start point, and the idea now is to apply Bootstrap to that. So if you copy and paste that down into a folder somewhere else, that's what it is there, DC Comics Flex, and then create another version of it, DC Comics Flex Bootstrap, try and convert it to Bootstrap. So the actual exercise, I think, is more specific. It's telling you what to do step by step. But it's essentially, if you can create a nav bar at the top and a header section and some cards and the tables and a footer, use whatever components you want, just play with it. That's a brilliant outcome for tonight, I think, for 3 hours where we start from the start. And even if you get that by next Wednesday or something, or Thursday, that's very good. All right. So I'll put you into breakout groups and I'll jump in about 10 minutes or let's see, yeah, and then we won't have a whole pile of time left. You have about 25 minutes left. We're happy enough to do that. So Unit 5 Solutions, DC Comics Flex, and then see if you can convert it to Bootstrap. And feel free to use ChatGPT or whatever you want. So breakout groups. Any questions or do we know what we want to do? What I'm
All
asking?
good.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep the rooms the way they were. Is that all right? All right. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Okay, we're all back. Welcome back. Right, so hopefully we got a good start in Bootstrap, and as I say, we can come back over like from Unit 10, 11, 12 now, and we kind of have a better practical knowledge of the things we'll be discussing. So I think we'll be able to make more practical progress. Anybody any questions on anything tonight? We're all dying to go to bed. Yeah, or go somewhere else. Right. Okay. Listen, thanks again. It's great. Honestly, you're very interactive and you ask great questions and you genuinely seem interested. So it helps me to do a better job as well. So any feedback, if you'd like to see me do something better or faster or whatever, just say it to me. I'll do what I can. But
No faster.
not faster. Okay. Well, there's a lot of people laughing there, so you might be in good company. And it was fast enough for me as well, to be honest, though. Yeah. All right. Great. See you
Thank
then
you
next
very
week.
much.
Take
Cheers,
care.
guys.
Cheers,
Thank you.
Thank
Bye now.
you.